Well, in other developments, sort of related, a protest against the $15 billion armored vehicle contract by Canadian manufacturer General Dynamics Land Systems Canada got some high-profile support today. The former Canadian Disarmament ambassador was on the scene to pressure the government to cancel this contract over the behavior of Saudi Arabia and Yemen and for being implicated in the murder of columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Peggy Mason is that former ambassador. She joins me in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. A lot of Canadian jobs are at stake here if this contract gets canceled. So what's the justification for canceling a contract when I'm sure Saudi Arabia goes shopping somewhere else for the same thing?
Okay, first of all, we don't know actually how many jobs are at stake. We don't know how much of the contract has been completed. I mean, because one of the big problems is the secrecy surrounding the contract.
That's true.
But the second point, the really important point you made about they can just go shopping elsewhere, which is something that Trump says as well about American exports, and nothing could be further from the truth. They have thousands of labs that have been delivered over the years. The idea that they could replace those in short order, of course they could ultimately replace them. It would take many, many years, and it would cost a great deal of money. So this is not an overnight act at all. And I might also comment, it's no longer a $15 billion arms deal. It's been cut back by Saudi Arabia by, I think, 900 vehicles over the 10-year to 700 approximately, because they're cash strapped, because the Crown Prince, among the many things he cannot do, is diversify properly, and so they're cash strapped.
Oh, really?
And that's an interesting
Fighting that war
point.
in Yemen costs a lot of money.
And isn't it interesting that he can, apparently under this secret contract, the terms of which we don't know, Saudi Arabia can unilaterally cut back on the numbers, but we are locked in even when Canadian law dictates otherwise. Quite a contract.
Yeah, so you're not concerned about those alleged multi-billion-dollar cancellation fees?
Well, I mean, of course, well, we don't know the details of that. I would actually like to take that. I would like to be in court arguing, back up a step. Saudi Arabia, if we cancel the deal based on Canadian law and international law, and then Saudi Arabia said, oh, we're going to invoke the penalty clause, and then we refuse to pay it, they would have to take us to court. Right. Okay, in court, they would be arguing that a cancellation of the deal in accordance with Canadian law, which basically stipulates that where there are egregious human rights violations, Canada should be suspending it. And under international law, there's a small matter of complicity with war crimes. So I would like to be on the side of that's why we canceled the contract. And there's also another provision in law, and that is provisions of a contract which are contrary to public policy and shock the public conscience should not be upheld by the courts. That's why I think if there ever was a contract penalty that meets those conditions, it would be this one.
Well, you're no stranger to sensing which way the political winds are blowing on issues. Do you think you're sensing that this Trudeau government's going to back away from this contract, or do you think they're going to be too afraid of the job consequences in an election year?
Let's also talk about the job consequences, because the Canadian, one of the planks of the defense policy, new defense policy, is making the reserve a really integral part of the Canadian military. Well, a key way to do that would be to provide them with these state-of-the-art labs. So there are options for the Canadian government with respect to those jobs. But I think, unfortunately, that what the government is trying to do is they're trying to just run out the clock.
Yeah.
But they're becoming increasingly isolated. The U.S. Senate and the U.S. now Democratic-controlled Congress are poised to pass legislation which will end any American involvement in the war, and Trump will have to veto it in order to continue American support. Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, the Netherlands, Norway, Finland, Sweden have all canceled their contracts with Saudi Arabia. So
without consequence on cancellation
well,
fees,
they've taken the consequences, whatever they might be.
Okay.
And so, Canada has, what are we going to be? The last enabler of war crimes standing, or are we going to do the right thing?
It's an interesting question. I don't know what the answer is. We'll find out, I guess. All right. Peggy, thank you for coming in. We appreciate this, as you're always insightful on these things. All right, carry on. Coming up, mortgaging the Jack Layton legacy. The NDP goes for a cash grab, and the press gallery is standing by. Please stay with us.